Olanrewaju Oluseyi, who will be speaking to us on this topic. Mr. Olanrewaju, could you please, let's see you. Mr. Olanrewaju. Okay. Okay, thank you so much for joining us on today's sections. We are all excited to have you here, and we have a lot of expectation to learn a lot on this topic. Thank you so much for joining us. We also have Norbert, who is a professor from Nnamdi Azikiwe, who's going to be moderating today's section. I'm not going to be the moderator for today's section. Thank you, Norbert, for joining us on today's section. We'd also like to see your face, please, Norbert.
All right, thank you very much.
Yeah, okay, thank you so much. At this point, I'll be handing over to Norbert, who is going to be introducing to us the speakers. We have a lot to learn. I hope we all have our notebooks and pen, because we're going to learn a lot from this topic. This topic is something that I'm super excited about, and I really, really want to learn about it. So, and I believe that everybody here is also ready, we are ready to learn. However, I would also like to invite us to ensure that we have all our questions noted on our notebook, and we can also drop down our questions during the section. We'll take them during the question and answer section. So at this point, I'll hand over to Norbert. Norbert, this is over to you.
Thank you very much. Welcome, everybody. Good afternoon, everybody. You're welcome to Rome Business School Industry Spotlights. I'm going to introduce our speaker for today. I have to read his little biography. Dr. Oluseyi Olanrewaju is a member of African Regional Advisory Panel and a member of Chartered Institute of Management Accountant. Oluseyi is currently the country's chief financial officer, TSL, and the partner, Zero Coup Professionals. He was the acting managing director and finance director of Vodacom Business Africa, Nigeria, respectively. He's a three-time recipient of CFO of the Year Award of Nigerian Telecommunication Industry in 2016, 2018, and 2019. He has been recognized as a Noble ICANN member in 2020 and recipient of African Influencer Award 2020. This is to mention just a few. He has held various roles in multinational organizations, including ExxonMobil, UWC, Zenith Bank, MTN Nigeria, General Electric, Internet Solutions, Kunga Online Shopping Mail, Vodacom Business Africa, Nigeria, and Mr. Africa. Dr. Oluseyi is a seasoned IFRS IPSIS expert, author, and respected analyst on corporate governance and financial and corporate reporting matters, with experience spanning over 20 years in corporate governance, leadership, finance strategy, which include planning and budgeting, financial reporting, compliance, audit, and investigation, treasury and tax management, inventory, procurement, risk, and asset management. He's also partner at Risk-Free Tutors and Zero Coup Professional, accredited ICANN and non-executive director in so many companies, a graduate of Yaba College of Technology, and obtained a BSc in Applied Accounting from Oxford Brookes University, MBA from Lagos State University, and MSc from University of Leicester, United Kingdom, and PhD Accounting from Charisma University, UK. A fellow of ICANN, CITM, AFA, IOD, CFCG, CIMA, and ACA UK. Ladies and gentlemen, you are welcome. And Dr. Oluseyi, you are welcome. The ball is on your court. Please, everybody, can we sit and get the knowledge that this event provides with us? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. That was a very fantastic welcome. And thank you, Funke, for always keeping in touch. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is my pleasure to be here this afternoon to come and discuss. I mean, it's going to be very interactive. I'm sure Professor Norbert will coordinate that so that it will not be only me talking, because the topic at hand is a very topical issue. I'm sure we are familiar with what happened recently at First Bank. That's the part of what the topic we're going to look at today. So my presentation will be a bit very short, and that for me to create time for questions and all that. So I've done a few slide presentations.
Yeah, hello.
I think my internet is a bit poor here. Do you permit me to take off my video? Okay, thank you.
Okay, sir, if that will help, no problem.
All right, thank you very much.
Hello, Mr. Oluseyi, can you turn your screen? Okay, you can continue, sir.
Okay, sir, thank you. So this afternoon, we are just going to be looking at shareholder activism in organizational growth. And to do justice to this afternoon, I will be a bit methodological in the way I'm going to approach the topic. We'll start by saying or knowing who a shareholder is, and what is the relationship between who we call shareholders and who we call stakeholders. Then we look at the organization governance structure. Then we look at a bit role, or you want to call it duties of shareholders. What do they really do? Then from there, we move to what is shareholders activism, and what should be done to manage this, or how should shareholder activists be managed? And we will now conclude. So who is a shareholder? As we all know, a shareholder is any individual or person. It could also be company or institution, as the case may be, that owns shares in a company stock or that owns shares in an entity. That's a shareholder. So when you buy part of the shares of an entity of a company, be it even one, it could be as little as one share in a company, you are going to be referred to as shareholder. That means you are part owner of the business, So the word shareholder means you bought shares. That's part of the exercise a company carry out in raising capital for the business. So the people we refer to as shareholder, we can also call them owners of the company. And of course, we know shareholders are subjected to capital gain taxes or losses, as the case may be, and or dividend payments, as residual claimant of the firm's profit. It's also important I mention that when we talk about shareholders, it also depends on the class of shares you've acquired in a business. So we have some shares we call ordinary shares. We have some we call preference shares. So depending on the class of shares you've acquired, we call you either ordinary shareholder or preference shareholders. It must also be noted that the class of shares you have purchased in a business determine your power and rights in that business. So generally speaking, we say the rights of preference shareholders are restricted because of the nature of shares they have bought, while the right of ordinary shares, is not really limited because they have powers to vote at general meetings, they have powers to make decisions, and all those. And of course, they have powers to variable returns, which we call dividend. So it means that as the company prosper, you know, individual ordinary shareholder would prosper in line with the company. How or why? Is because their stake is not limited, it's not maxed, or it's not fixed. The return is not fixed in the business. So shareholders generally invest in a company by buying shares, each of which represents certain percentage of the business. Because, I mean, except you have just one person buying the 100% shares of the business. So usually when we look at a pool of shareholders, everybody is holding or holding the company in parts, and that depends on the number of shares they bought. So in return for owning shares, you know, these shareholders are entitled to vote on significant decisions. We'll see some of them as we go on, and they of course also receive a portion of the profit generated by the business in form of dividend. I must also mention that dividend can be in cash. It could also be in form of shares, what we call bonus shares. Some people call it script shares or capitalization shares, depending on which pendulum you belong. But what we are just saying is, instead of the business giving you shares, what they will give, I mean, instead of them giving you cash as dividend, what they give you in return will be additional shares in the business. And that's what we call technically bonus shares. There is no how we would discuss shareholders without also touching base on stakeholders. You know, I've mentioned that a shareholder is any party, either individual or company or institution, that owns at least one share of the company and therefore has financial interest in its profitability. So shareholders may be an individual investor or large corporation. Companies invest in another company who hope to exercise a vote in the management of a company. So if a company share price increases, the shareholders' value increases automatically. While if the company performs poorly, you know, its stock price will decline, then the shareholders' value will decrease. So that should also, you know, be mentioned. Every shareholder looks forward to their shareholder value to increase. And what usually will increase shareholders' value is when the business is doing well. When the management that have been put in care of the resources of these shareholders, they are running the business well, they are qualified, they are churning out quality products, and of course, they are paying dividend. These are some of the things that increases the price of shares on the stock exchange market, and thereby increasing the value of shareholders, and vice versa. Because if the reverse happens, of course, the price will decline and shareholders' value will automatically decrease. So shareholders would prefer the company's management to take actions that will increase the share price and dividend and also improve their financial position as stakeholders. This statement I just mentioned is usually what is bringing about the activism. We'll get to see that as we go on, because they are happy when management take decisions that will increase share price. And of course, the opposite happens when management takes decisions that are not increasing the share price. And in that case, you will see them, you know, ganging up and looking for ways, you know, to checkmate the management or to get them to do the right thing, which is what we call shareholders activism. So who is a stakeholder? A stakeholder is a party that has interest in the company's success or failure. A stakeholder can affect or be affected by the company's policies and objectives. But note, they are just stakeholders. It's not that they have any financial interest like that of the shareholders who have invested their resources in the business. So stakeholders can either be internal or external. Internal stakeholders have direct relationship with the company. These are through employee ownership or investment. So here we are talking about the employees of the business. Here we are talking about the shareholders and all sorts of people that have put their money by way of investment in the business. So stakeholders, example of stakeholders, like I've mentioned, include employee and all that. In fact, government is a stakeholder. General public is a stakeholder. because the decision and the policy of the business affect them one way or the other. So as stakeholders, they are alert to see what the policy of the company is and all that. When I mentioned general public as stakeholder now, for instance, we know most of these oil companies, they have their base, some in South and Niger Delta area. You know, those communities have high expectation as stakeholders that, yeah, you are using our natural resources. In return, what are you giving to us, even though we have not invested in the business? So they are looking out for scholarship to their indigenes, they're looking out to opportunity, employment opportunities, and so on. So these stakeholders are scattered. Government is also part. Government is interested in every business because as far as government is concerned, it's providing some social amenities that makes life easy for companies. So in return, it's expecting to get some form of taxes. So the government is also a stakeholder in company, and creditors, customers are also stakeholders. The supplier wants to know whether a business will continue to be in the right position of liquidity to pay them as at when due. Customers are looking up to good quality products, you know, good customer service, you know. So these are how these people, you know, automatically become stakeholders in any organization. It would also be important for me to talk about organization governance structure, because we said shareholders, you know, they are part of the owners of the business. So in the structure of an organization, where does shareholders sit and how do they perform? How do they relate with other, you know, governance steps within an organization? As you can see in what I put up, I'm just going to use this slide to talk about the corporate organization structure. As you can see, the first thing on there is general shareholders meeting. So it's important to note that shareholders meet like maybe once in a year at what we call the annual general meeting. Of course, when there are topical issues or when they are not within their scope, they can also call some form of extraordinary general meeting as enshrined in the various laws in Nigeria. So shareholders meet at least once in a year at this general meeting, you know, to carry out some of the fundamental and legal roles or duties, which will include approval or declaring dividend, which will also include approval of the financial statement after enough questioning and interrogation, you know, at the meetings and all. So you will see that is at the highest level of governance in the structure of any entity. That's the shareholders at the annual general meeting. You will immediately see that we have the board of directors, you know, who work directly with the management team to ensure that the business is run day to day and in an efficient manner. We also have some board and the statutory committees that works with the board of directors, and some of them even report into the shareholders at the annual general meetings statutorily. So we have the audit and supervisory board, you know, it has dotted line reporting to the board, and it also reports into the AGM. We have the external auditor. External auditor reports, you know, directly to AGM. At times, through the audit committee, you know, we have nomination committee, compensation committee. You see the management, from the management, you see them having strategy meeting, then you see the executive officers, you see the respective departmental heads, and then before it goes to individual employees. So that's the structure. So if you look at it, to summarize, shareholder sits. Can you hear me, sir?
Yeah, we can hear you, but we are not seeing your screen. Can you click on the share screen, the yellow, the green line?
Oh, sorry. Let me quickly do that. I'm sorry. Is it back now?
Yeah, we can. Yeah, thank you very much. We are seeing it now. Thank you.
Thanks, Prof. Thanks, Prof. I guess it was when I lost the internet. So, as a summarily, you can see that this shareholder is sitting as the highest authority in any organization. But don't forget that they don't do day to day. They meet at least once in a year. They run the business through the board of directors, who also appoints the management team to run the day to day. And we have the head of departments and all sorts. So shareholder is very key. So what are the roles? What are the roles of shareholder? What are the duties of shareholders? We've mentioned that what makes them shareholder in the first place is that they've subscribed to the shares of the company. You know, the shares have been allotted to them. They have evidence of a certificate that they have the shares, and that automatically makes them shareholders in the entity. So other things they do, like I mentioned, at the annual general meeting, they declare dividend, they approve the financial statement if they are okay with all the figures in there. You know, they also approve winding up should the case the company wants to go into voluntary liquidation. They also approve changes to the constitution of the business. If they want to change the line of business or what have you, all these are taken as far as to the AGM for the shareholders to approve. Then, of course, they approve resolutions, ordinary resolution, special resolution, extraordinary resolutions, as the case may be. These are some of the roles or duties performed by the shareholder. I was tempted to put shareholders activism here because, you know, it is also what we have seen. It's not in any law that shareholders, you know, should act as activists. But over the years, we have seen that one of the ways shareholder gets the board of directors to do things through the management team is to turn to activists, you know. So what is shareholders activism? Let's also talk about that before we go into questions. So we say shareholders activism is a way that shareholders can influence a company's behavior by exercising their rights as owners of the business. So if they are not happy with something happening in the business, one way they get those things done, you know, is by going through activism, forcing in a way the board of directors and the management team they have appointed, you know, to do the right thing, to change their behavior. This often happens when a company is derailing, you know, when a company is not performing as it should. I mean, we've seen instances where shareholders, you know, make decisions that the chairman of the board should be removed or the managing director, what have you, should be taken out based on performance and all that. So they are powerful. And one way they exercise this right they have in the law is through activism, you know. So a shareholder is a person who attempts to use his or her right as shareholder of a public company, you know, to bring about change within the organization, to bring about change within or for the organization. I've mentioned that we have two classes, you know, and it's important to note, some don't have some of these rights, so you won't see them there. And those are examples we've mentioned earlier that we refer to as preference shareholders. So generally, shareholders activism provides long-term results that enable measurement of operational performance, such as sales growth, return on assets, return on equity, positive and robust cash flow, earnings, and productivity. So, I mean, the objective or the end result of shareholders activism is to achieve, you know, a positive performance of an organization. And that's what they do basically, you know, to say this area, you are not doing it well, is affecting our return, you know, you are not using our resources well, this and that. And they use the activism to challenge sales growth, to challenge, I mean, quality return on assets, return on equity, positive cash flow, earnings, and at the end of the day, productivity. So, should shareholder activism be managed? I tell people, and if you look at very strong organization, I mean, most listed entities, you will see them now having a department which they call shareholders or investors engagement, or some call it investors relationship. What those units or departments are doing primarily is to manage the expectation of the shareholders. They communicate well with them. They carry them along as appropriate, because if this is not done, the activities of the shareholder through activism can actually bring down a company if it's not well managed. In fact, in this era of social media, one has got to be very, 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 very careful, on how you manage your shareholder. Because one of the ways they get at the board of directors is to go on social media, sponsor people to say things they would have loved to manage. I mean, if there is a proper relationship between the organization and them, you just see them go out and begin to blow it out on the social media platform. So I'm saying this should be managed. Shareholders activism, they will usually employ a variety of offensive tactics that, like I've just mentioned, to force changes. So for example, they might make strategic use of the media channels in order to publicize their demand and prompt greater pressure from other shareholders. And one thing we must also note is that it's just one shareholder activist that will start this thing. He will call one person. If he can't get to reach quite a number of them, then they will begin to use other channels to get other shareholders to come in. So they may also threaten the companies with lawsuits if they are not allowed to have their way. In this country, I've seen a professional institute that have been taken over, that have been taken to court by a member, just because a decision was made at the annual general meeting, and for whatever reason, the board of directors, as it were, refused to carry out that decision. So they took them to court. That, the highest making organ in any entity or any organization is supposed to be the members at the AGM, and whatever they say must be complied with. So they took them to court, So they have such power. They can, take lawsuits if they are not allowed to have their say. So some of them, at times, we issue, some of them usually we go on for social media change, we require divestment from political or sensitive part of the world. They will say we don't want to, for instance, see what is happening in Russia. People are saying, every reasonable company is already pulling out to say we don't want it to be in there. Somebody shared something with me this morning that shows close to 50, if not more, of multinationals that have, pulled out of Russia because of the war that is currently going on in there. So through shareholder activism, they can actually pull them out and force them to do the right thing. So that's one here for divestment, to support workers' rights, or for more accountability for environment degradation. So that's one of the things they do it for. Then the term can also be referred, that shareholder activism can also be referred to investors who believe that the company management is doing poorly. I think I mentioned that before. This class of activist investors often attempts to gain control of the company or replace the management or force a major corporate change. I mentioned what happened at First Bank. You can see that what happened there is a practical example of shareholders activism, where some caucus within the shareholders and board wants to pull out to have a change in the management team, while some are saying no. So it's part of it. They use activism to correct things, to make powerful changes in management, or to gain control of a business, as the case may be. Now, in conclusion, because I'm asked to speak for just 25 minutes, shareholder activism is not a privilege. It is a right and responsibility of every shareholder. When they invest in organization, they own part of that company, and they are partly responsible for how the company progresses. So if everyone believes that there is nothing going on in the company, then as shareholders, they must become active and vocal. That's according to Mark Mobius. So in conclusion, before I hand over to Prof and the generality for questioning, in conclusion, I say shareholders is the highest hierarchy in any organization. That must be noted, and they must be managed and engaged appropriately. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much, Dr. Uche. We really enjoy your speech, and your speech is loaded. And if I may look at it, I will say that we have learned so many things. We have looked at the difference between what we call the shareholder and what we call the stakeholders. Then we have seen that the activism makes organizations to sit up because their intervention can change corporate strategy and performance. However, we see that the shareholders activism can be managed before you get overboard, because politics may begin to clip in. And instead of the objectives it has, it may begin to come in, have a policy that will destroy the company that is performing well. Then you can also see that the shareholder activities is not a privilege, but a right. Thank you, and thank you very much. I have a question, but before now, I think somebody is raising his hand. Mr. Abubakar, maybe if I allow you to see why you are raising your hand, then I begin to ask questions. And some others, I will give you opportunity to ask your own questions so that our speaker can equally attend to that. Thank you. Mr. Abubakar. Mahmoud Abubakar. Okay, if he's not asking any question, maybe I will ask a few questions. One of the questions I want to ask is about the classes of shareholders. We have a preference and ordinary. And we know that ordinary can vote, and they can attend the meeting, they can change the management strategy. What actually is the work of the people that are in preference? Hello, Doc.
Yeah, thank you, Prof. Thank you for that question. So basically, the ordinary shareholders, as it were, we refer to them as a real risk taker of a business, because their return is not fixed. Their return varies with the performance of the business. But for the preference shareholders, they are also part of the owner of the business, but their own return is fixed. And when the business wants to also wind up, they will be the first person to get their capital back. So for that reason, they don't really have the power or the right to vote at the annual general meeting, but they can attend as owner, singularly because, we feel that, in fact, some scholar will tell you that some of these preference shareholders, especially the ones we refer to as a redeemable preference shareholders, that they should not even be treated at all as part of equity owners of the business, because they are like creditors. You understand? And yes, as such, why should creditors be coming into the business to vote on major decisions when their stake are being sorted in terms of what they get as a return as dividend? So they can attend AGM. They can also monitor or be interested in the well-being of the business to ensure that even the fixed rate, they get it. They'll be interested in liquidity of the business so that they can get their dividend as at when due as well. But they don't have as much right as the real risk taker in the business, who are the ordinary shareholders.
Thank you very much. It's very clear to me now. Thank you. Next question I want to ask you. In some companies, you can see a situation where company has an issue and they may have been taken over maybe by private equity companies in order to help them move forward. I'm wondering how the corporate governance will work well, because those private equity will tend to take the majority of of the shares, and then they may equally want to control over what has been happening in the company. Is there any balance between the company existing before and the people that take them over?
Thank you very much, sir, for that question. So I will start by saying that private equity firms, they are also shareholders. Remember, I mentioned earlier that a shareholder can be an individual or a person. Okay. It can also be a corporate. It can be a company. So private equity firm is a company that also have right to buy shares in organization. That's one. Then the second point you raise is that usually when this private equity buys the business, they end up exercising control and they may eventually take over the business to take the business over from the existing shareholders. I need to make this point very clearly. There is what we call in the business world controlling shares. And there's what we call not controlling shares or controlling interest and non-controlling interest. What do we mean by controlling interest? Generally speaking, we say if a company or an individual has acquired more than 50% of the ordinary shares of another entity, automatically that individual or company has what we call controlling interest. So automatically, is the one to control the business, is the one to make principal decisions in the business, is the one to control the major activities of that business. Once you have acquired more than 50% of the ordinary shares. Then another point that we have in accounting, which is supported by one of our standards called IFRS number 10, which is on consolidated financial statement. In that standard, it is also mentioned that you can also gain control in an entity when you have not acquired more than 50% of the ordinary shares. In the standard, they mentioned that, let's say you've bought 49% or even 48%, and you are the one controlling the principal activities, making decisions in the business, you are automatically the one that should consolidate the financial statements. So you have the power to consolidate it. Now, my question is this, sir. If any entity or any company does not want to be taken over by private equity investors, all the company needs to do is to ensure that they don't relinquish the number of shares that will attract controlling interest. Okay. Very important. The time, if you go and do it, and you must also be aware that even if it doesn't get to 50%, if the private equity firm are the one controlling the principal activity of the business, it will also be deemed that they have controlling interest. A case in hand, is the case of Health Plus, that pharmaceutical company. They sold some of the shares, and it ended up that the private equity firm took over control and took over ownership and all that. So existing investors, should be aware of this, and they should caution when they want to get more shares so that they don't indirectly or consciously relinquish control.
Thank you very much. I think we are learning something very, very fast. I want to ask again, because shareholders normally meet in Nigeria, they call it annual general meeting, AGM. And that is when tactical decisions are taken on how to move the organization forward. And some people are of the opinion that these meetings are taking up their funds. I don't know if that meeting is actually necessary. The value you get there is necessary as to compare to the fund being wasted at the meeting. Just a comment.
Sorry, Prof. Are you referring to the money spent at the AGM?
Yes, they say that a lot of funds are being wasted at the AGM and so on and so forth. So some people are of the opinion whether that AGM will continue to be held, because of saving of the fund, company's fund. So I'm asking, comparing the what the fund be that you're thinking of the business and the value of that AGM, can they be equated?
Thank you very much for the question, sir. I will start to answer that question by saying annual general meeting is statutory. In fact, if you don't hold annual general meeting during a particular period in a year, it could actually lead to liquidation of that business. So we must know that it's statutory. Having said that, I also think that no matter the cost you incur, that meeting is necessary because it's a stewardship. For as far as I'm concerned, it's a stewardship meeting. Somebody has pulled his resources in your entity. He's saying, I want to meet you once in a year to come and account to us, being the owner of the resources, on how you have spent our resources in a year. So personally, I don't think, that meeting should not be held, irrespective of the amount that is spent. But hold on, sir, let me conclude. In saying that, I do not also expect the company to spend lavishly on annual general meeting. You don't have to. Prior to now, we're printing hard copies of annual report, but now soft copy is accepted. People can view it on their laptop, on their iPad, so you don't even need to print. All you just need to do is to get a space. And with the advent of online meeting, you can just get a small space or get people to decide whether they are coming physically or they are going to do online. So that will restrict the number of people you get a hall or a space for. So you don't even have to spend so much to do annual general meeting. I think I should mention that. But that meeting is statutory. And in my own opinion, I think is an important and necessary meeting. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think you have said it all because nowadays, because of online meetings, people don't need to waste time. You can be wherever you are and attend the meeting and make your contribution. As I said that, it doesn't need to be, it's supposed to be holding every year so that the stakeholders and the shareholders can now aid their view and make their contribution. Thank you very much. Right now, somebody is raising his hand. Julius Adeyeye. Julius, please, can you ask your question?
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Olusi Olarewaju. My question is that a growing company that want to expand more and they want to sell some of the share to be able to have some partner in the business, what are the things that he need to put into consideration before he can sell a share?
Thank you very much for that question, sir. So I hear you. I think some of the things, let me just go straight, that should be put in place before selling the shares is number one, the person or the one-man business should first of all value his business. You must do what we call valuation so that you will not sell yourself cheap. So you start by doing valuation, which will involve some form of due diligence. You can get expert to help you. Why do you need to do this valuation? This will tell you what the real value of the business is and what your shares should be sold for. Then the second thing is you ask yourself question, do I want to relinquish control? If no, then you should be saying, okay, what percentage of this company shares do we want to give out? 20%, 25%? Because with this, you cannot really relinquish control. You understand? So you say that. Noting also that what you need, because what should be driving the expansion is that I need 2 billion to go into this expansion or growth level. The 25% you are asking for, the 20%, will you make you achieve the growth level you are talking about? So you consider that as well. And the last one I will mention is that the shareholders agreement between you and the potential new investor should be properly scrutinized by experts so that you don't go and put a clause that will make you relinquish the control of your business unconsciously to you. So from the top of my head, I think these first 3 points are very critical before you go into it. Another point that is coming immediately is that going into equity is more expensive than through borrowing or through getting a loan or debt financing. So you also need to really look at it critically, that do you really need more partners, more owners in the business, or what you just need is fund, and you don't want to dilute your stake in the business. If that is the case, then you'd rather go through debt financing. If the expansion will be profitable and to give you enough cash to be able to pay the principal and interest as the case may be. So these are some of the factors you should consider before making that decision. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now, I think another person is raising his hand. Maybe we'll allow him to ask his question. Mr. Abubakar Usman Adam.
Hello, good afternoon. My question is almost similar to the one that was answered. The only thing I went to ask is in a situation whereby a company have a situation that warrants for cash call, and the other partner doesn't have what it takes to contribute to the cash call. Is there a minimum benchmark that should be given to him as part of a concession because he's part of the founding fathers of the company, because he cannot contribute anything for now when it's come to cash call? Is there a minimum benchmark ethically that should be given to him? That's my question. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for that. And the question you have raised specifically talks to say right issue. The company need additional fund is saying, I don't want to give it to outsider. I want existing shareholders to do the contribution. So what the law says should happen is that everybody should be given equal rights. To say that we need 10, give it to everybody in the order of on their existing shareholdings. For instance, we have 2 shareholders. One is having 20, one is having 10 shares. And we want to raise additional 3 shares. That's what we need now. What we are expected to do is to say, the guy that is having 20, we want to give you 2 additional shares, bring the money. The one that is having 10, we say we want to give you 1, so that there is equality and there's no discrimination. But if the person that you have given 1 is saying, I don't have money now, then at that point, he's refusing his first right of, you have given him the first right of refusal, you cannot give it to the next person to pay for. That's how it works. There's no minimum, it's not coded in any law, but it could be in the shareholders agreement in the organization to say, if we do a cash call, if you are not able to bring, you must bring minimum. If that is in the agreement, then you have to exercise it. But it's not, I've not read it in any law. I'm open to be corrected. Thank you.
Thank you, Doc. I don't know if any other person has a question. Please do have a question. Okay, somebody is raising his hand. Elder Jackson Baba.
Good afternoon, everyone. And thank you, Dr. Oluwaseyi, for your time and for this beautiful presentation. My question is largely related to the Nigerian market. I don't know if you look at the corporate structure of the country, will you say that shareholders are fully aware of their rights and responsibilities in Nigeria? And what do you think are the prospects of corporate activism in the country? And if it's very low, as I'm expecting it to be, how do you think will the shareholders be better enlightened about their rights and how to go about corporate activity? Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Elder Jackson. I will tell you personally, it's a personal opinion, that shareholders in this country are not enlightened. People just bring money for investment and they put their money in the investment. Majority don't know their rights and responsibility. So again, to say, how can we close this gap of knowledge? I will say people should be exposed to training. There are a lot of institutes that talks about ownership, governance, directorship in organizations, and all that. They should be exposed themselves to all this training, you know, to learn what are my responsibility, what is expected of me, you know, because people don't know this. That's why some set of shareholders will take advantage of some caliber of shareholders because they don't know their rights. So they should expose themselves to training. They should go online and read some of these things up. Gone are the days where you say you are looking for material and you can't find it anywhere, because every shareholder must live up to his right and responsibility in any organization. If not, you know, people will take advantage of such shareholders. And that's what we see around, you know, in the case of some of the companies I mentioned earlier. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Any other person? Do you have any other question? Okay, if they don't have question or somebody said plan, maybe I'll ask a question. It's just for us to rub mind. I don't know whether it's directly related to the shareholders and activism, but I know it has to do with corporate governance. And the question is that we know in terms of corporate governance, people are the center of it. Because these people that are shareholders and they control what happens to the company. And we know there are some principles and processes to be followed. But we find out that maybe somebody is working in a company and the company, for instance, might be bidding for a job. And the staff of that company, maybe he has a private company different from where he's working. They're equally bidding for the same job. So what is your comment? Is this something that should be encouraged, or is this something that will frown with? Thank you.
Sorry, Prof, I missed your last sentence before the last one you made.
Okay, I said that we discovered in Nigeria that because some people might be working in an organization, probably maybe it's a consulting company, maybe their company might have been bidding for a job. And the person knows about it, and he goes ahead maybe to use his own private company to bid for the same job. I'm asking if that activity is something that needs to be encouraged or something that needs to be frowned with.
So, sir, straight on, I will tell you that that's an abuse of office. It should be frowned against. It's very unprofessional. Your company can be bidding for a job and you go at the back to use your private consulting firm to get it. So I'm very sure that if the company gets to know about it, it's a sanctionable offense, if not even sack, you know, because it's highly unprofessional. It should not be encouraged. It shouldn't be encouraged.
Thank you.
It's a conflict of interest and abuse of office.
Of course. Okay, because you have seen the situation in one of the marginal oil operating in Nigeria, where the former director has interest in another company and they're using it to acquire assets which their company has interest in. And the guy has to go. They asked him to go and they began to maybe go to court and all kind of things. So thank you very much.
You're welcome, Tom.
Thank you. I don't know whether we have other questions by people. And if we don't have, I think our activities today. Okay, somebody.
We have questions, sir.
Somebody is raising hand. Mr. Lawa Baza, thank you.
Good afternoon to you all.
Good afternoon, sir.
Hello. Yeah, my own is related to the second to the last question, where somebody asks of a person working in a company and he has interest in another share and went further behind it. What my question is this now. You know, now people, sometimes you see people buy shares in several other companies. So there's shareholders in many companies. And when, for example, there are such bids for an an item or whatever, what then how does that person do? What does he do?
Hello, Doc. Are you hearing him?
Hello? Yeah.
I didn't get
the
question is not complete.
Okay.
I
Can
said
you go over it? Yes, sir.
a person, for example, have shares in so many companies, which is common now in Nigeria. And there is a bid for a particular item in another place. How does that person now operate? We are talking about ethical issues at that time.
Okay, so the question is, the bid, what is bidding for? Is it what his company is also doing?
Yeah, his company is doing it. He has shares in other company again. And they're also bidding for the same thing.
So, if he has disclosed, to say that I have shares in that other company, which is a competitive organization, it's okay, let them go to the field and both of them compete, Okay. But if he has not disclosed it prior to now, that I have shares in a competing firm, then that's where the issue is. So who is he going to support? So that's the problem. So yes. It's an ethical issue. If he has disclosed, fine, everybody is aware that he has shares in a competing company and they didn't say anything. What other organization would have done is to say, guys, you can't have shares in competition company. Go and relinquish your shares or leave our job. Because when you are in a situation to make decision, who are you going to follow? So it's an ethical issue.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. We have another person raising his hand, Mr. Kelechi Shuku. Kelechi, please, can you ask a question? You can almost.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Sorry, thank you, Doc, for this wonderful presentation. It's just a slight question I want to ask. When you have developed much on shareholders and the board of directors, so I just want to ask a brief question. Who takes decision, or what percentage of the number of people that decides on the shareholders or board of directors? At what rate do they not conclude and say, yes, you have taken decision on what to do?
Okay, if I understand that question, usually this is done by the promoters of the business.
Okay.
To say that who are the promoters? Promoters are the ones that have the business idea, that started the business from the scratch. To say, this is the business we should go, we need 20 million. Okay, let's issue 20 million shares at ₦1 to the public so that we can raise our 20 million. So that decision is usually made by the promoters of the business. Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you, sir. More questions? Do you still have more questions? Okay. Question is coming from Julius Ade again. Julius, please, can you ask your question?
Yeah, thank you. You talk about the stakeholder. Stakeholder may not have a share in a company. But sometimes, as a company, somebody can come to bring a business to a company, and there's an agreement on how the profit sharing will be. And as time goes on, the business keep coming, but the stakeholder is not bringing his own contribution for the success or for the execution of the business. What can we do at that such a time, sir?
So I lost some lines, but let me see if I get the point. You're saying that, talking about stakeholder.
Yes.
Some stakeholder, they just bring business to you.
Yes.
And you give them the referral fee or commission as a stakeholder.
Yes.
So that's a stakeholder.
Yes.
So that person is a stakeholder. So you must pay his own. Go ahead. That's what I mean.
That stakeholder has something to be contributing in a way for us to be able to execute the project. and it come to a time that stakeholder cannot contribute his own share, and he still expecting the same profit sharing.
Okay.
What can
So in that case, what I will say is that whenever you want to go into this type of deals, please let everything be documented. Let the responsibility of each party and the obligations be stated clearly. And of course, where anybody is not living up to responsibility, also state there that they will lose part. I think documentation will clear it. Why we always have misunderstanding in this type of area is because there have not been agreement that covers majority of the areas in the deal. So in that case, the person will say, where is it written? Must I contribute? Should I brought the business? Please give me my own stake. So I think documentation and agreement signed by all parties, we take this off subsequently.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think you have answered well because I heard him very well, and I think we should be careful when we enter into negotiation so that it will be documented, because once everything is on paper, if a person is bringing a problem, you show the person, so the person knows that he's willing to fulfill his own part of the deal. And if he fails, that means they not have a moral justification to force you again to continue to pay him while he's not fulfilling his own part. Thank you. Do you have more questions? We expect more questions because this is a topical issue. I think things we see every day in Nigeria. And we are worried. And I think this topic today is apt because of the nature of the country and the business going on. So we expect people to ask questions so that we wrap it up. If there's no other question from people, maybe I say ask one, or why I ask one, why people are preparing to ask more questions. What I need to ask again, Doc, I'm just looking at a situation in Nigeria where we have some public institutions. Some people are the head of the affairs of the company. Something like in public fund, like in pension fund. They may decide to sit and take some, mismanage the fund, let me put it like that. And at the end of the day, they will go to court and we will not hear anything that happened again, whether it's a brief again or something. Does it mean that the company or the institution at the starting does not have a, let me say, a policy or to hold on to this, or to make sure that such fund cannot be mismanaged? Or is it a nature of their country or where we find ourselves? Just general reaction.
So, Prof, I will tell you that you've answered the question. Is the nature of country we find ourselves. And you will notice that bulk of this happen more in the public sector, yes. Anything called government.
Yes.
You can't try some of this in the corporate world. We are not saying it doesn't happen. In fact, some worst thing happen in the corporate sector that they eat. But generally, if it's government, people tend to just go away with it. It's not right. It's unprofessional. It's suicidal. It's criminal because it's other people's money, other people's sweat you are taking away. So it's not encouraged at all. But again, it is the country we have found ourselves. We need to empower our institution. You know, all the institutions should be strengthened to be able to do the right thing.
Generating small set of
and that's the DTP.
Hey, please put your mic off your mic so that you can answer. Sorry, Doc. I think people from
interrupted. So I was saying that we see this more in government setting, you know, and it's just because of the country we found ourselves. But it is illegal. It is not to be encouraged. It is suicidal. because it's people's sweat, other people's sweat, that individuals are acting away without conscience. So I hope at some point our institution will be strengthened to be able to combat and do justice to some of these anomalies.
All right, thank you. Somebody drop a question in a chat box. He said, well done, Doc. When there is need to issue more shares to raise more funds, who takes decision, shareholders or directors?
So usually is the board of directors that will tell you they have expansion, they want to do more, but they are limited with funds. But such decision must be ratified by the shareholders at the annual general meeting. You know, you must let them know, yeah, because it's going to be dilute the ownership in the business. So you must let them know. They will now tell you, no, let's do right issue instead of a public offer or what have you. So they ratify such decision, but usually emanates from the board of directors.
Thank you very much. I don't know, maybe we look for somebody, more questions. Do you have more questions? If you don't have, I think we are rounding up. I want to thank you, Dr. Oluseyi. In fact, we need to have more of you to run business school, to teach us things like this. I've learned a lot, and I believe you can see the contributions and the questions from people. That means that you have done justice to this topic. We thank you very much. At this point, I'm going to invite Tomilola Alafe to do a little presentation before we get to close. Thank you very much. Tomilola.
Thank you very much, Prof. God bless you, sir.
Thank you. God bless you. Tomilola.
Okay, Tomilola is going to join us soon. So,
okay, please, you may have to wait a little bit for him to join. He has a presentation to make on Room Business School program. Thank you.
There are two images now that I want to everybody to know. There is a captain, that's a commander. So
kindly unmute yourself.
Hello, can anyone hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, we can.
Yeah, right on, right on.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us at this webinar session. I believe we all learned a lot from guest speakers and moderator. Thank you once more, Dr. Oluseyi, and thank you, Professor Norbert. Once again, dear executive students, my name is Tomilola. I'm the admissions manager for Rome Business School, Nigeria. And I'm just bringing you news from the admissions office about what we are learning here. And our mission here in Rome Business School, of course, is to equip you with the right skills and competence to become a better manager for a better world. As such, we have various master's programs that we run. Of course, we can see that one of our executive students Professor Norbert is an executive student of the MBA program. So if you would like to join us at Rome Business School, we have lots of master's programs that we run, specialize in different sectors of the economy, specialize in different professional expertise. We currently have the admission running for the next intake, which is April 2022. We have list registration ongoing. So if you would like to be part of us, please reach out to us. You can go to our website, www.romebusinessschool.ng, and click on any of the master's program that suits you. We have the executive MBA for high-level professionals, EDs, MDs of various organizations to equip you with a much more higher skill and competence to run a 21st century business. We have the Doctorate of Business Administration, DBA in Strategic Management as well. We have Masters in International Human Resources Management for human resource professionals, for group head HRs, for HR business partners. We have Masters in Marketing and Sales. If you're a sales expert, a regional sales manager, a sales analyst, you can do the program. We have Masters in Marketing and Communications for those doing the corporate communications, for those who own experiential marketing companies, for those communications per se, PR and the likes. Masters in Marketing and Communication will best suit you. We have Masters in Entrepreneurship and Innovation. This master's program has been properly designed to equip you with the knowledge you need to run and start up and manage a business, as well as upscale it. Masters in Entrepreneurship and Innovation. Not leaving out the Masters in Data Science Management. Of course, we know that data is a new oil. In today's economy, you want to know how to conduct good predictions to make informed decisions for your business. The Masters in Data Science will expose you to a lot. If you're a sales analyst, you are a business intelligence person, you are familiar with some of these coding languages and visualization tools, that master's program is for you. Also, we have the Masters in Agribusiness Management for agripreneurs. Depending on what value chain in the agro sector you are in, this master's program will expose you to a lot needed to excel in the agro field. We have the Masters in Project Management, designed for project management professionals. We also have the Masters in Logistics, Supply Chain Management. If you're into logistics, if you're into supply chain procurement, that master's program will suit you. And last but not the least, we have a Masters in Digital Marketing and Business Transformation. This is one of our newest master's program. For those that are digital marketers in the house, Google analysts in the house, this master's program will suit you. So these are the master's program we offer here at Rome Business School. This is 2022. You need to prepare yourself and position yourself properly. And one of the key things that we offer here at Rome Business School is not just about giving you the certificate. We have taken it a step further by introducing the Career Service Department that would help you achieve your short, medium-term career goals. So please, once again, reach out to us, www.romebusinessschool.ng, or you send us a mail at info@romebusinessschool.ng, info@romebusinessschool.ng. Thank you all very much. And if you're an executive student, if you have your colleagues, your friends that can join this program, we have some incentive to also motivate you and say thank you for referring a friend. So please just reach out to us. My name is Tomilola. You can go on the school website. We have our official number there. Send us this person's contact. We will reach out to this person and that you have referred, follow up on them and ensure that they get the right information needed to make informed decisions. Thank you all very much once again, and see you in class. We can't wait to have you on board.
Okay, Tomilola. I think we'll have to close.
Okay, thank you very much, Tomilola, for that very detailed presentation. We want to also say thank you to those participants who have joined us. We look forward to seeing you in our next section. Please do not, I don't want you to miss out in all the sections that we're having. We're going to be having another section on the 11th of March, that is Friday. We look forward to having you in this section. And also I want to say a very big thank you for those who have participated and joined us from the beginning of this section. Thank you so much. And to Mr. Oluseyi is still here. Thank you so much for the time. The program is very, really insightful.
This one, and I come, and I will work.
We really appreciate the session, and we are glad. We look forward to having you for more sections like this. Thank you so much once again, and to our moderator who has joined us for this program. Thank you so much, Mr. Norbert. We really appreciate the time. And on behalf of Rome Business, on behalf of our country director, I want to say a very big thank you. He's extending his appreciation to those who have participated in this program. And our prof, our dean, Professor Ragusa, is also extending his great things from those people that has joined us this program. Thank you so much for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you on Friday on our next section. Thank you and have a wonderful evening. Bye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thanks for joining. Thank you. Thank you,
Abubakar.
Thank you, Adesheyi. Thank you for joining us.
Is it possible to get the slides?
Yeah, of course. Thank you very much. You get it. Thank you. Can we take a group photograph before you leave, please? Please, everyone, I want everyone to hold their camera so that we can take a photograph for this wonderful section. Please, we'll encourage that everyone hold their camera so we can take, okay, I can see Kalechi. We need more people to take on their camera. Please on your camera. I can see Ifeanyi. Thank you for on your camera. Azam, would like to see your face. You're waiting for more people to on their camera. Okay. Over to you, Philip. Could you help us? Thank you so much for joining.
You're welcome.
Okay, thank you very much. I think we've taken the pictures. So we look forward to seeing you in the next section. Do have a wonderful evening. Bye. Ciao, ciao.
That's interesting.
Yeah, thank you.
Achieving new feats in your career requires the perfect blend of determination, hard work, skills, and knowledge. The first two you build, the other half you acquire. The job market is always evolving, and only those with flexible skills and a strong knowledge base can adapt. The question you may ask is, how do I find time to acquire these skills between my busy schedule, tons of meetings, deadlines, and my personal life? Meet Femi, a young staff in a financial firm. He is dedicated to his work and he gives his best on every assignment. Despite his work ethic, his boss often complains about the final output and his ability to innovate. Femi knows something is missing. Therefore, he decided to improve his skills and gain more technical knowledge. However, every business school he found either served irrelevant knowledge or things he already knew. This, coupled with the rigid learning structure, made it impossible to find the right business school. His friend recommended an array of innovative managerial courses from Rome Business School, Nigeria to him. Femi was reluctant to apply, but right after the first lecture, he knew he had made the right choice. Rome Business School is a managerial training and research institute par excellence. We aim to play a role in closing the gap between the academic world and the job market by providing managerial training courses suited to convey the knowledge necessary to kick off or develop professional careers or business activities. The Rome Business School has obtained the ISO 9001:2015 certifications, which recognize the top quality standards of our training activities. The ISO 9001:2015 accreditation our institutions the quality systems that provide the foundation for excellent student satisfaction and continuous improvement. In Nigeria, an average of 500,000 employees are due for a promotion every year, but only 10% of them have the skill and knowledge base required for their new roles. There is no written law that says it must be so, especially for you. To have a rocketing career that makes you fulfilled, you need to experience constant growth and promotions. At Rome Business School, we have taken every step to make career advancement as seamless and cost-effective as possible. With top-hat tutors, unique course outlines, flexible learning plans, and affordable courses. All our courses are fully accredited and recognized by many local and international professional bodies and organizations like European Foundation for Management Development, Chartered Institute of Personnel Management, Principles for Responsible Management Education, Italian Association for Management Training, European Association for Distance Learning, European Council for Business Education, European Union, the Italian Republic and Chamber of Commerce, among others. We offer up-to-date curriculums, easy-to-understand courses, and applicable methodologies. We offer professional courses in Executive MBA, Master in International Human Resources Management, Master in Agribusiness Management, Master in Marketing and Communication, Master in Marketing and Sales, Master in Data Science, Master in Entrepreneurship and Innovation. All our programs can be taken 100% online or on campus, which makes it easy for you to juggle learning with your regular job. Our registration process is easy and well laid out. Our career service experts would help you in choosing the most suitable course and learning structure for you. To get started, visit our website www.romebusinessschool.ng. You can send an email to nigeria@romebusinessschool.it or call 090675565524. Or start your enrollment at enrollment.romebusinessschool.ng. Rome Business School, better managers for a better world.